On this week's episode, we share our thoughts on Shazam. How well did The Walking Dead end its season, and could we be seeing the end of GameStop? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. Do I read the other part?
No, I got rest.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
How's that? Was that
pretty solid? It sounds like you're pro, man.
All right, cool.
All right. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you listening to all of our great programs as we cover the world of pop culture at least twice a week. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own Shazam. He is our own Shazam from Humanica Media. You gotta check out everything that's going on today at humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so much more. It is my good friend, ready to Shazam right up there. It is Josh Peterson. What's going on, man?
What up? Just closing down the weekend and talking some pop culture, it would seem.
There you go. You know what? It's a great month for pop culture. Obviously, we've got Endgame coming at the back end. You've got Pet Sematary that debuted in theaters. You also had Shazam, of course, which we're going to be talking about here in a second because I've got a review of Shazam coming up here. But there's also a lot of great stuff going on as far as the Level Up Expo that we're going to be at here later this month, including doing a panel. We've got the Retro City Games Charity Game Night that we've got coming up here also later in the month. And NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, is this week. I'll be there checking out everything that's going on. And if you run a radio station or if you got a podcast network and you're going to be there, you meet up with me while you're there at the NAB. Love to hear from you and love to hear your thoughts on the pop culture cosmos. So it's a great time for pop culture right now. A lot of cool things going on. First off, just want to let you know we've got a lot of great things again to talk about this on this particular episode. We've got Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base and Talking the Dead. She's back again. She's closing out season 9 of The Walking Dead. How did it end in her opinion? She's going to share her thoughts coming up later in the program. Plus also as well, Brett Allen from the Open Mic Podcast and Confessions of a Single Dad. He's here to stop by. We're going to be starting a little bit of series with a lot of our good friends, podcasters, and friends alike, telling us their thoughts on a particular movie or character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Both Daphne Matthew and Brett Allen are going to be doing it on today's show. Not only going to talk about what their favorite character or movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, but how it ties into Avengers Endgame. Plus, we're also going to be talking about what's going on with GameStop, because there's some news that came out earlier this month that is really kind of concerning if you're a fan of GameStop and the brick and mortar game outlets that are there. Your future may be changing when it comes to being able to purchase games over the counter. We're going to talk about that a little bit more on the back end of the show. Plus, also, Josh has some updates on his thoughts on the latest Assassin's Creed DLC that's out as well. But first, my friend, it was Shazam. It hit theaters over the weekend, and it actually did, well, if you listen to our Friday show, it did about as well as we would hope it did, because it came out to around $56 million domestically here at the box office this past weekend. Actually, it's a very good start, and I like what I said on Friday. If that was the case, you know what? That is above expectations, and Warner Brothers has to be happy about that. Plus, also, they did another $100 million outside the U.S., totaling right now over $150 million, which is a pretty good start for this type of movie, which is not one of the most popular or the most prominent characters out there in the DC universe. Your thoughts on Shazam's performance this weekend, and does this mean that there's good signs up ahead for Shazam and how he will interact going forward in the DC movie universe?
I can't really speak to that aspect of it because I haven't seen it yet, but I would hope so. If Shazam does well, I'm kind of confused on the distributing of this one because this one's New Line Cinema, right? So is that owned by Warner Brothers?
I have a feeling either there is or it's just being the way it's being set up because you're right. It is something that is being distributed by New Line, but it is in cooperation with Warner Brothers from what I'm reading as far as the different movie sites, including Box Office Mojo and IMDb. I believe it's either a partnership or it's actually New Line is owned by Warner Brothers, and that's how it's being distributed. Yeah, it's kind of different this time around because it's not the usual just straight up Warner Brothers like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, the Batman movies, and Superman movies as well.
Well, it kind of makes sense though if you think about how it's a lesser known, according to for modern fans, it's a lesser known property. It would make sense that Warner Brothers would maybe try to cut costs somewhere. But my concern would be, are we going to get like an Incredible Hulk situation, where he can't be, he can have that one film, but he can't be in any others if there's like a falling out or something. So, uh, yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking about. But yeah, no, it looks, you saw it, and I'm planning on seeing it, but it's successful and people seem to like the hero. It would make sense that they would move him into a more incorporated type scenario like Justice League or something, or some kind of ensemble film where they could get kind of bridge the gap between the family friendly aspects that the DCU has been lacking and the darker side that the fans have come to know and love. I guess is a questionable term, but the endearing part of it that people keep going back for more. So kind of bridging the gap between the dark and the lighthearted, kind of like what Aquaman did. So it'd be interesting to see. It would make sense that they put him in a role like that. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him, where they go with him. But you saw it, like I said, so you probably know better than I do what kind of direction they might be headed in.
Well, before I give a review, I'm going to try and avoid as many spoilers as I can, trying to go ahead and keep it spoiler free as best as possible. But before I go ahead and do that, I want to ask you a question that I'm not sure if I approached you on our Friday show. I have to listen back to again, but I don't think I did. Quick question. When it comes to Shazam in the DC universe, as far as he's being portrayed, as far as movie wise, would you equate it like Box Office Mojo did to Ant-Man and some other places as well? I see him getting the kind of comparisons to Ant-Man as how he's thought of and how it's going to be received by audiences.
Wait, sorry. Say that again.
Is his comparison Ant-Man as far as how is Shazam to the DC universe? Is Shazam to the DC universe comparable to what we've seen as far as Ant-Man in the Marvel universe? Not an essential viewing, more like of a off the beaten path, different type of vibe type deal than we're seeing from the rest of the movie universe.
Yeah, I would say so because DC kind of needs a property like that though, because Aquaman did well, Wonder Woman does well or did well, and from what I understand, like the stuff that they've screened of other upcoming DC films seem to be getting pretty good reactions, but they haven't really explored any aspects of that universe that aren't dark, I guess you could say. So it makes sense that they would throw this in there and be a more comedic side because yeah, they have one aspect of comedy with Aquaman, which is more sarcastic, but with this one, this is something for kids. You want to. Marvel has done a great job of being able to have a movie that kids can watch and adults, but Marvel or DC, on the other hand, has always done stuff that's more aimed towards adults and hardcore Batman fans, people who have been fans of the DC stuff in the '90s, which was super gritty. It's a good move to bring Shazam into it because, yeah, I guess he is kind of like Ant-Man. They took a risk on it, and it was a risk that ended up paying off in the end, according to box office numbers.
Well, let's get into what I thought about the movie, and that leads into what you were talking about just now about being family friendly and Shazam being that kid friendly, family friendly type of superhero. The movie itself, at times, like you said, wants to go ahead and corner that market, but also provides some pretty shocking scenes which kids under 10 shouldn't be seeing. Because there's a couple scenes in there that were, I guess, I don't want to say straight out of a horror flick per se, but just straight out of shocking. It was kind of shocking in the context of the type of movie that you're seeing because Shazam's supposed to be cute, supposed to be fun loving, supposed to be a high energy, that type of performance that's going to endear itself to a younger audience. And then you have these shocking scenes, which didn't need to be there, but unfortunately were put in there, which is going to give kids some nightmares, I think, at some point in time, because these images that were in there were kind of just out of place, difficult to see. Yes, they did. I'm sure that as far as from a suspense or an evilness or type of revenge type deal, you wanted to go ahead and correlate those type of feelings within the course of the movie, especially when you're talking about Mark Strong's character as Dr. Zavanna. But I don't know. If you're trying to make it a family friendly movie, you wouldn't go ahead and add in those scenes that really just takes you right out of the film as far as if you're a parent. But as far as overall, as far as the movie is concerned, the movie I have to give, well, let me put it to you this way. It's over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means over 90% of the critics that they go ahead and screen at Rotten Tomatoes have given it a positive review. That's great news. That's just, one of the highest rated DC movies when you're using the Rotten Tomatoes format. Then you go to Metacritic and it tells a different story. And there it goes into the low 70s as far as the overall rating that these critics give. So yes, they're giving it a positive score, but unfortunately, they're not giving it as high as everybody wants them to do. And you know what? On the show on Friday, I said there were some out there that were saying this is the most fun, this is the best DC movie, and some are saying that. But after watching, I'm not going to be one of those people, because at this point in time, I will say it's probably right there in the middle of the road as far as the DC movie universe is concerned, and the DC movie universe has not had its share of good films. So I would not really give it that high of a score. In fact, I'm giving it an even lower score than what I gave Captain Marvel recently. The other Captain Marvel, Marvel's Captain Marvel. And if you want to check out my thoughts on that, that's at popculturecosmos.com. That I gave a mediocre score to, and this one's going to be even a little bit lower, but still remains a positive, only because of the fact that Zachary Levi as Shazam is a winner. It's a total 100% hit as far as him having that exuberance, that childlike enthusiasm in playing the role. It's unfortunate, though, that everything else around him is just utterly just not that good at all, not that well constructed, not that well directed, not that well written, and not that well thought out. Especially the school scenes. The school in Philadelphia that is supposed to take place, the underlying structure. I'm a stickler for details, and the way that the school scenes are set up and as far as they're structured are just not very well thought out. They're just made to be totally fake, and the school itself is used as a prop to get things forward as far as a narrative, which an idea is great and what you're supposed to, but the way it's done is just totally shoddy and totally done as an afterthought. The stuff that was done as far as the school is, as someone who, just tries to appreciate good cinema, this was something like a bad film school stuff as far as from that sense, as far as the mistakes, the continuity errors from that point, which leads you into the other aspects of the film, which are supposed to be the more important. But if you can't get out of the fact that these school scenes are so bad, the rest of the movie seems to falter because of it. And the battle scenes with Dr. Zavanna and Shazam, they're pretty good, but most of the good stuff, unfortunately, you've already seen on the trailers. And the best part about the actual movie itself, you don't see as much as you like, and that's the scenes you see in the trailer with him learning his superpowers. You want to go ahead and see more of that, because that's the funnest part of the movie, and unfortunately, you do not get enough of that, or as much as I would, as much as I think a lot of people would like. It does have some very slight laughs every now and then, but it's not as funny as I thought it would be. Overall, like I said, the reason why I'm giving it a positive score is because Zachary Levi killed it as far as his character is concerned, being able to portray a 14, 15-year-old boy that's transformed into the body of Shazam. And to me, that actually made it worthwhile. Plus, I'm curious to see where it's going to go ahead, how they're going to be able to incorporate Shazam into that whole DC movie universe. But this time around, for me, it was kind of a disappointing letdown, because I had heard such advanced good word before I came into the movie. And I came out of the movie theater going, I don't know what all the fuss was all about, because this movie really isn't that great. It's okay at best and not much more.
Was there anything specific that stuck out that made it just okay, or was there just some standards you were hoping it would reach and it didn't quite get there?
Well, like I said, the school stuff is absolutely horrible. Just the way it's structured, the way it looks so phony, the way it's dealt with, the school structure itself. If people put any thought into it, I couldn't help putting thought into it, because you're asking questions. Why is this happening? Why is this like this? Why is the school set the way it is? And why are they doing the scenes in this fashion? They used old tropes and formulaic type atmosphere during the whole course of the movie. It was very formulaic, but even more so with all these tropes they did within the school environment, which were pretty much a throwaway in my estimation. Then you get into what's going on with the rest of the film, and Dr. Zavana's motivation to try and go ahead and garner all the powers of Shazam. And on the way there, he's just not made to look very threatening or very menacing at all. And unfortunately, that's the stuff. It's just, to me, the material that was written for it. It's just very formulaic in the way it approached the way it approached each scene to each scene, and unfortunately, just didn't materialize the way I wanted to. It just seemed to just go ahead and almost like a paint by numbers type format, and as far as a superhero origin movie is concerned, and at times it wasn't even done very well at that. But like I said, the only good part to me was Zachary Levi. He just did an outstanding performance as Shazam. He is Shazam because he does have that boyish nature, that childhood-like exuberance that I think really comes through on screen. And for me, he's the only pleasant thing about the movie that I could really get out of it, even with the ending taking place as far as some different aspects of the Shazam culture coming into play. Just his performance as far as how he would react, because he reacts at certain points in time in the film like a 14, 15-year-old boy would. And then he realizes things need to change in his life in order to go ahead and accomplish what he needs to accomplish. So it's just disappointing the way it was set out to be. The ending is the third act is a little better, but not by much over the rest of the film. But yes, overall, it was just, you have this great character, you have this great performance in a narrative that's just really letting him down on all facets of the movie.
Well, I mean, at least they got that important aspect of his character, right? The adult acting like a child. I want to ask you this. So, do you think that did they set it up for a sequel? Tell us about the after credit scenes. Was it shows that there's promise for something to come next?
There is one scene. There's two actual bonus scenes after the credits, one mid credit and one after credit. And one of them does imply something going forward in the future for the next Shazam movie. Whether or not people have speculated as far as Black Adam or any of the other villains or anything going on, that's up to you to determine what that will be. But yes, there is one scene after the credits that you do need to see. The other actually does not need to be seen at all. It's just some type of throwaway deal that, again, reminds me of what exactly they are doing over the course of the film, with just so many opportunity narrative letdowns across the board throughout the film, that they would take one of these end credit scenes and just basically choose it as a throwaway and not choose it as something more constructive to go ahead and tell a larger narrative in the DC movie universe, or even the Shazam movie universe as well.
Okay, so if you going forward, what would you recommend to the writers in order to? What were you hoping to get out of it?
Well, like I said, the reason why I went into the theater, the reason why I went to the movie was because the trailers really bought me and really started to get me into. Once I started really examining them, I had said before that which one was I more excited about, Shazam or Aquaman? And I had said Aquaman. And I know a lot of people were actually more excited about Shazam. But as the trailers kept coming out for Shazam, I got more and more interested in, and it just seemed like it was going to tell a great narrative, a great, cohesive story about this runaway who's given an opportunity to go ahead and become a hero. And even though it does try its best to tell this, it does try to tell this tale. It does try to tell the tale. It doesn't do very many favors for him or all overall. And you're given the sense that there could have been so much more done to make him even better and a bigger entity in the DC movie universe instead of. You said it yourself. You said that you didn't think Shazam is a sidekick in the DC movie in the DC universe, but unfortunately, after watching Shazam, to me, he actually looks like a sidekick in the DC movie universe at this point in time. I don't see him as a key character unless things change. And if that's the case, Shazam 2 has to be all about bringing his status up and making him more important and making him feel like he's more valuable to the DC universe than what he was perceived to be in the original Shazam movie.
Okay, cool. I'm out of questions. I'm sorry.
Well, once again, like I said, if you give it a chance, by all means, I give it a positive review. Although, like I said, it is less positive than I have for the other Captain Marvel movie, which came out. But both of them are okay at best, I think is probably the best way to say it. But hopefully I'll be able to throw up a review later this week on popculturecosmos.com in a written form so I can give you an exact score. But yes, it's not going to grade too high with me. For me, it's kind of a letdown because I had seen so many reviewers and critics out there had given it high scores. And I was going in thinking, oh, this is really going to be a good movie. This is going to compare to Aquaman. It's going to compare to Wonder Woman because I know you loved Aquaman. I thought Wonder Woman was really good. I liked Aquaman a lot as well, but I thought that this movie did not compare anywhere close to those two movies because the narrative itself, structured around the actual character of Zachary Levi of Shazam, just totally let him down on all corners. The action scenes were okay, but most of the stuff that you saw that's good, you've already seen in the trailers, so it's kind of disappointing that there was really not a whole lot new I could take in or I could observe that really would draw me in even further to the movie and make me endearing to the character even more. I had to go ahead and try and find any bit of enjoyment I could out of Zachary Levi because of how hard and how well he was portraying the Shazam character all by himself, and just because everything around him was just failing narratively, and that's disappointment. But hey, overall, like I said, he carries the film to a positive score. Hopefully you will think otherwise or think it's even better than I think it is, because I hope that's the case for you, because I want to make sure everybody's money that they go ahead and put out there is well spent on something that they think is good. If that's the case, we'd love to hear your thoughts on Shazam, because they hit theaters this weekend, beating expectations. That's great news for New Line and Warner Brothers. So hopefully we would like to see more coming up and maybe even a better narrative going forward for Shazam. How well do you think Shazam's going to do? And have you gone to see the movie? And what are your thoughts on Shazam? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, before we head to the break, and one of our great guests, my friend, you got to go ahead and share your thoughts on the latest Assassin's Creed DLC. I know you wanted to go ahead and chime in with some thoughts on it, so please let me know what's going on with the latest Assassin's Creed downloadable content.
Well, okay, so it's weird with this. I never buy season passes of things because, we've talked about this before. Is it worth the money? Yeah and no. You don't know whether you're going to get skins or new maps to play multiplayer, or because very seldom do you spend money, or is it worth the money spent to play
horse armor?
Horse armor, yeah, horse armor, or new blades or dialogue or something like that. You never know, man. You honestly don't. But with Odyssey, I found that it was totally worth it because, hold on one second. Oh, sorry. It was totally worth it because you know how they remastered Assassin's Creed 3. So you go to the store, you get a physical copy of that, $40, right? Super crazy expensive. But you buy the season pass and you get 3 DLC episodes plus Assassin's Creed 3 for $40. So you get each of those DLC episodes is 20 to $25. So you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot more than what you would get with just the $40 purchase of Assassin's Creed 3. So that being said, I do want to talk about the DLC in itself. So usually, have you ever played an Assassin's Creed DLC?
Not in a long time, my friend.
Okay, so the only ones that I have played from start to finish are the ones that were part of 2, and that's just because they came with the Ezio collection. So, um, but they're usually pretty lackluster affairs. You know, you have your they last maybe 20 to 40 minutes of gameplay, and then you don't really like it doesn't do anything for you. You know, it's a side story, and it's not really engaging enough to make you think, "Oh, hey, I want to play more of this." Odyssey was different. So Odyssey, they try to get you with a little morality thing by making whoever you played as Cassandra or oh man, I'm having such a bad brain fart right now. Oh my gosh, dude, what is the matter with me?
Good thing we go ahead and edit this out on the actual show itself.
Hey, hold on. No, this is bad. Why? Oh, Alexio, sorry. Jeez.
Don't worry
Um,
about it. Senility, it sucks, man.
Oh, dude, that was bugging me so much. Alexios or Cassandra. So I play as Alexio. So, and as I got to this point in the game, they make you look back at all the victims that you killed. And this guy actually sicks the families of a lot of the victims that you killed on you. So you have to make this choice. You face these dialogue options where it asks you, like, why did you do it? And one of them was like, it was either him or me, or they were up to no good, or they deserve to die, or yada, yada, yada. And you have to make all these moral decisions that justify all the people that you've killed throughout the course of the game, which was a very interesting dynamic considering that, the game is about killing people. So, that being said, the story has enough, it's 3 parts, and the story has enough to keep you engaged. Though some of the storytelling does get lazy, it is enough there's enough there to make you feel invested. It feels like another chunk of the game. There's more missions to do, characters to explore, things to develop. You get the, spoiler alert, you don't get the option of, as we've discussed in previous episodes when we're talking about the controversial DLC, you don't get the option of not having a child because it is part of the story, but you do, um get the option of like how you want to go about creating that relationship, which is still interesting. But um yeah, so the first 2 parts, if I were to you fight the Persians, that's basically what that is. It's another cult. Go figure, surprise, surprise. But you get the option of deciding how you're gonna woo that partner, and over the course of the first 2 episodes, you develop it, and then the 3rd one, surprise, surprise, the partner gets killed and the kid gets kidnapped, and you go after the kid. So that's cool, but is it enough to go dive back into it? Is it enough to pay $25 per DLC? I would say no, but if you have the season pass, it is totally worth the money. The game is fun. Like if you really loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's fun to go back to it and play it. More stuff to do. It's the same old. Nothing's crazy challenging, but it's got an intriguing story. And with the Fate of Atlantis DLC coming out later this month, there's enough to chew on for 40 bucks. If you have the season pass, there's enough to keep you occupied there. But I don't know if I would pay $25 per episode for it, but it's good. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Wait for that game of the year. Is that what you're trying to say?
I would, but again, like if you want to play Assassin's Creed 3 remastered and you did play Odyssey, buy the season pass. The $40 is totally worth it, and you get your money out of it, and you get a free game that if you bought a physical copy would cost you $40. So I think it's a bargain.
Well, there you go. And if you have any thoughts as well on the Assassin's Creed DLC, share your thoughts. Share thoughts with us. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com, or just hit up Josh or I on the Twitter, Instagram. We're Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, Game Source, Topicocalypse. Any one of these outlets. Just go ahead and send your thoughts if you think you're having a really good time with the Assassin's Creed DLC, or do you think if it's wasted money and you should just go ahead and wait until there's a game of the year or a complete collection for Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Well, coming up next, we're going to be talking to Brett Allen of the Open Mic Podcast. He's going to share his thoughts on his favorite memories from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how those memories tie into Avengers Endgame. And then right after that, we're going to be talking to Daphne, and then we're going to be talking to Daphne Matthew from the Walking Dead fan base and Talking the Dead. She's going to be sharing her thoughts on season 9 on The Walking Dead, how it ended up in her thoughts, in her mind. We're going to hear that, plus her thoughts on her thoughts on a Marvel memory and how it also ties into Endgame, Avengers Endgame coming up as well. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played all around the world, 7 days a week with our 2 great shows that we put out each and every week, plus bonus, you never know. Plus, we put out bonus stuff on our Pop Culture Cosmos channel. You got to check out our radio listings and some of our podcast listings on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, also as well on Twitter at Pop Culture Cosmo, and also Pop Culture Cosmos on Instagram as well. And we've also got 2 great things coming up, because on the 25th, it's a charity game night at Retro City Games in Henderson. 4 great video game tournaments: Apex Legends, Fortnite, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We just announced that for the first place for 3 of those 4 tournaments is an Xbox One, and for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be a Nintendo Switch. So if you're in the Las Vegas or Henderson area on April 25th, come on down. It's 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. 4 great tournaments. There's also going to be some live music with Vedius, Hyperschmidt, True Die, and Serious Damage. Plus, Josh is going to be there with Humanica Media and Topicocalypse. Jamie and Tony are going to be there with Game Source. Sal from Mario Party Wars. The guys from Go Brothers Gaming, and a whole bunch more going on. Just go check it out. It's a charity game night supporting and all proceeds benefiting the UMC Children's Hospital, 3 Square, and Make-A-Wish of Southern Nevada. Please check it out. April 25th, make a donation. You got to go ahead down there anyways. If you want to go ahead and be a part of the tournament, you got to make a donation. But even if you can't, just make a donation when you stop by Retro City Games, either beforehand or on April 25th when you join us from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then also Level Up Expo all week long, the 26th, the 27th, and 28th. We're going to be doing a panel 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's a live Pop Culture Cosmos. Going to have all these great guests that are going to be there, including Josh. You're going to be there as well with Humanica Media and Topicocalypse, plus also Go Brothers Gaming, Sal from Mario Party Wars, the guys from Game Source, Doug from Retro City Games, and there's going to be a ton of stuff we're going to be talking about, including Avengers Endgame, Days Gone, Mortal Kombat 11, and a whole bunch more. Join us for a live panel at the Level Up Expo. That's April 27th, 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Las Vegas Convention Center. For ticket information, go to levelupexpo.com. That's LVLUPEXPO.com. My friend, you've got a great thing going on with Humanica Media, so share the goods, my friend. What's going on with Humanica Media?
We just put out a new episode of Topicocalypse. You can catch now. We're talking about robots and is the world ready for robots? And
I know I'm not.
Hey, well, obviously there's either a fear or a anticipation going on, judging by all the Super Bowl commercials this past year.
Well, that and people have seen the Terminator, the really good ones, I should say.
Hey, in all fairness, can we just say that Terminator Salvation was a decent flick?
Decent is probably the best thing I could say about it. The game might have been the game itself might have been actually better.
Because, dude, Sam Worthington, gotta love the guy, man. Like I think James Cameron ruined his career.
Yes, I agree with you on that. But yeah, Sam Worthington is Yeah, probably because of Avatar.
He
But
could have
we
been
move
the
on.
next great action star, but he got too tied up in James Cameron stuff. Now all he can do is focus on the family Christian films, it would seem.
And James Cameron Avatar stuff.
And James Cameron Avatar stuff. And also, what do you think about the news of Vin Diesel jumping into the Avatar universe?
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
Hey,
Just
he is
yeah, I mean,
Groot.
huh?
I said he is Groot.
He is Groot. He's playing another tree baby in the actual Avatar universe.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be cool.
There you go. There you go. But be that as it may, Vin Diesel or anybody else jumping into the Avatar universe, I got to see it. And just if Avatar 2, around the time whenever it comes out, finally, we're going to be talking a lot about that because there is some great anticipation. And is Disney going to fit the bill for any more avatars after that? We'll have to wait and see. But my friend, before we head on out, got to be talking about the woes of GameStop because they recently announced their numbers for fiscal 2018. And to me, that was an eye opener, if there ever was one, about the brick and mortar type stores being able to be viable in the world of video games and the video game marketplace at this point in time. Because get this, my friend, $673 million operating loss for the fiscal 2018, my friend. That's right. $678 million operating loss when it comes to what GameStop did in 2018. That's not good, my friend. So I want to hear your thoughts. What needs to change? What needs to take place in order to keep GameStop alive? Their search for a new buyer for their company ended last month because it didn't look like anybody wanted to actually pay into or buy into GameStop. So them's not good signs, my friend, as GameStop is really hitting hard times. Do you see a bright future for them? Because at this point in time, I sure don't.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I've been reading different things and different points of view on what's going on. I had read something that GameStop's trying to get into the esports game by opening their own esports arena.
And they also already bought into an esports team as well.
Right, right. And I also heard that it was something about how the fiscal year was a lot longer than it was before. And, I don't know how much extra a few days is going to cut off that 67 or $673 million. But it GameStop doesn't know what they want to be. They're do they want to be a hot topic? Do they want to be a video game store? Do they want to sell action figures? They can't quite figure it out. And it sounds like they're actually making most of their money is coming from collectibles and used games. So that makes me wonder if they could focus more on that stuff or a new game. Okay, what is the cost of a new game to them and how much does it cost them to store it in their store? Because right, you look at Nintendo Switch games. Nintendo Switch games never go on sale. You go into GameStop, they have so many Nintendo Switch games that just sit there and take up space. So what is the how much does that cost them to keep them in their store? And when games go on sale, like remember back when they used to do the buy two get one free used game sale? Then if they did more stuff like that instead of just putting junk on sale, like if you looked at their spring sale catalog, there's not really a lot in there that hasn't already been on sale for the past 2 months. So that being said, maybe they need to go to a more like book off type scenario. Not well, you don't know what book off is. Book off like a store that you can they sell used games. Maybe not sell so many new games. Maybe only sell like new stuff that is big releases, right? Sell that kind of stuff. But maybe if someone wants an obscure new game, they can go online and find it. So mainly focus on collectibles and used games and kind of have like a place where people can go and trade used games and get new used games and stuff like that. Because it sounds like having these new games on brand new games on their shelves is eating up money.
But that in the past was a means to an end. As somebody who's run video game stores in the past, I could tell you, you don't make money. You're not going to stay in business if you just sold new games. I mean, Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, any of them, it's just a means to an end because the profit margin is not there at all when it comes to new games, especially if they go on sale. That just cuts the margin even further. Sometimes you're actually selling it as a loss when it comes to some of these games, which is really problematic if you're trying to use that as a bigger portion of your business. And you're right, a lot of those games are sitting on the shelves gathering dust, but it's supposed to be a means to end because, okay, you come and buy that new game for me. You're supposed to come back and trade that in, and I'm supposed to resell that now used game at a nice 40 to 60% profit. And that's the idea when I resell it. That's where they make a good portion of their money is in the resold games, the used games, and the collectibles are actually in a lot of cases very profitable as well, depending on which ones that you're talking about. That can actually garner them a nice chunk of change as well. So I understand why they purchased ThinkGeek and took over that market and tried to go ahead and, like you said, become like a Hot Topic and whatnot, because it's certainly working for Hot Topic. They seem to be doing okay with at this point in time. Hot Topic is, but GameStop just doesn't really have a definitive vision going forward. And I think they're going to, especially with the digital marketplace, people are wanting to buy digital more and more and more. There's no need to go into a GameStop. In fact, Sony just said it's going to stop issuing, I think, retail cards at the retail store now, coming up in cards at the store coming up in the near future if they haven't already, because they're just going to be selling over a digital format because they don't see a cost profit benefit to it. So your thoughts going forward on what's going on with GameStop? I don't see a bright future, my friend, for not maybe the company will stay on as far as an online format, but I don't see a happy future for the brick and mortar stores. I see them starting to either shave off a few of them, a series of a few at a time, or a massive just shutdown, as we've seen already with several retail outlets in the recent past.
Well, they don't have to put the nail on the coffin yet. There's still plenty of things they can do to stay afloat. The collectible market is good if they had more collectibles, more things that people would want, or even kind of like how our friends over at Retro City Games, they have collectibles, but they also have like you want to go in and buy a Gundam model or something, you can go in and do that there. They have a lot of things that they could do, and also it would be a perfect time to jump back into that market and get into the retro gaming scene, right? They sell that stuff online. They sell Sega games, Nintendo games. They have a lot of sales I see all the time, and it would not really, maybe it wouldn't, I don't think it would cost them anything to really bring that stuff back in the store, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to GameStop and wished I could buy a Sega game. So that might be something. As for the digital currency that's now being put out there, those are weird too, because in many cases, you can go on Amazon.com or GameStop or wherever and find that the digital copy of the game is actually a lot more money than the physical copy. So it's a very weird thing to me that I don't quite understand. And I know that Sony wants to direct traffic into their own e-stores, and that's why they're taking the cards out of GameStops and Targets and things like that. So maybe if there was something, GameStop needs to provide more incentive for people to buy from them, whether it's digital games, physical games. They need to do something. Have a trade-in program where you get more money for things, or make it. They have the power up thing, but really you don't get a lot of benefits because you have to spend several $100s before you even get, 60 dollars worth of points to spend. So it's a system that doesn't really work, and a lot of people don't like going into GameStop too, in my opinion, because it's this whole idea where you go in there and then they bother you for 10 minutes about pre-ordering games, which is stupid. You don't really need to pre-order games anymore because it's not, they're not the physical ones. People aren't hungry enough for them to want to wait in line anymore, as we've seen with releases like Mass Effect. So going forward, I don't know. Like I would like to see them have retro games. I'd like to see them have more collectibles, maybe more t-shirts. It's they need to try different things, It's like I would hate to see all the physical GameStops go away, because I do occasionally like to go shop there when I'm walking through the mall or something. But what would you like to see going forward from them?
At this point in time, it's really hard to say because they don't provide me much incentive to get inside the store. I go maybe 3, 4 times a year, 5 times a year, and that's only because if I'm looking for cool video game T-shirts, because I know I can get the games cheaper online. I know I can get the games cheaper somewhere else. The problem is, the thing is, the only time I actually purchase anything there is on Black Friday. That's the only time I purchase things at GameStop is there, unless I'm looking for something out of the blue, like I said, like a video game T-shirt or whatnot, because they just don't have much to offer someone like me who can get all these things so quickly online and very easily from my own home, or that are either as good or even lower of a price. And you're right when you've said before, as far as the value of these games, the trade-in and all that, that's a common theme. That's a common joke that's out there when everybody talks about GameStop. And that's one of the things I first reported, or that was first talked about when I reported about the major loss that they suffered in fiscal 2018 was you sell a game, or you buy a game from them and you come back with it, and the trade-in value is like minimal. It usually just drops off 50, 60, 70% from what the actual original value is, which is a killer for people that are trying to go ahead and be return customers. It's just incentive to just go ahead and go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's kind of you're spitting in their face a little bit. Like again, I mentioned a business like Book Off, and you have a lot of people going in there because they can get they can get some pretty solid trade-in values, and they also get used games that aren't going to cost them an arm and a leg to play. So GameStop does a very bad job at, and they do the thing. If you're a pro member, you get more money towards, or 50 to 25 to 50% more on your trade-in value, but that's still costing you money. So in the end, you're not really getting anything out of that membership. They don't treat their customers very well. They they make fake bargains, and it doesn't, they don't do a good job at enticing people to come in, because why are you trading games anymore? I'd rather have something sit on my shelf than, take trade it in for $3.
And the Circle of Life program, which I will admit, working as someone who was running video game stores in the past, Game Crazies and whatnot, they had a similar program that they wanted to go ahead and get you enticed in. The MVP programs, get the extended warranties, get the pre-orders and the trade-ins and all that type of stuff. Have a certain percentage of used sale games, all those type of things that come into the fray. And the Circle of Life program, which has been heavily, I guess, reported on out there by all these entities, that they really emphasize with store managers and store personnel at GameStop, almost comes off too harsh, too heavy, depending on how you talk to the customers, and really can be a deterrent, to actually anybody else that wants to come in at a later time to come into a GameStop, if they're just constantly chided about going ahead and you have to buy this, you have to buy that, you have to buy this, you have to buy that. If you're too pushy about certain things, you're just going to go ahead and send that customer away for good.
Right, and that's the annoying thing, because they're pushy about their pre-orders, and they're pushy about their protection plans. And then I had one guy today, like, I went and bought Kingdom Hearts, the story so far, and this guy was in there like heckling me about not having played it ever, and I was like, well, that's not the best way to get me to purchase more stuff from you guys.
And that was an employee?
Yeah, that was the guy working behind the counter.
And see, I've had similar instances about the lack of knowledge when you go into a GameStop. Like the time I wanted to go ahead and pre-order Uncharted 4, and they asked me what system did it go for. I said, well, it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Super Nintendo, please.
Yeah, you know what? I'm good. If you don't know what you're selling, and I know more than you do about video games, then it's just really just, and this has happened more than once, where they just don't have the knowledge. During the holidays at Black Friday, when I was purchasing things, I asked the individual there, do you have a copy of Gears of War 4? They said, what system does it go on? And I was like, Xbox.
Those holiday employees, man, I'm telling you. I had an incident where I went in and bought 3 used games, and they didn't give me the covers for any of them. Instead, they gave me those crap GameStop covers. And I don't like those, because I like to have I got OCD when it comes to things I put in my shelf, but it's
also return value. They don't like them. Nobody likes them.
Yeah. So why it's deceiving to put a box on a shelf and then you go to buy it and they don't give you that box. They give you something else, but they don't do it until you pay for it. So it's like it's a huge hassle to go back and return it because it doesn't have the right case. So it drives me nuts, man.
Those things have got to change, but those are just some small reasons why they're in the trouble that they're in. But $673 million loss of the course of 2018 is not a good sign for GameStop. I don't see a bright future for them as far as the old traditional brick and mortar stores. I think it speaks larger about what we've spoken about at length over the course of the past year ourselves with other retail entities, i.e., Toys R Us, Sears, Kmart, so many other these standards from yesteryear that have either gone by the wayside or are literally just non-entities at this point in the retail market space. Pretty soon, in my opinion, GameStop's going to be joining them, and I think they're going to be joining them. I think they're going to be joining them in closing a lot of stores, if not all their stores, at some point soon. And I'm sorry to say this, it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Can we just bring back Electronics Boutique, please?
There you go. There you go. Actually, if you went to a certain spot here in Las Vegas, they still have the sign up for Electronics Boutique after all these years, after it's been gone for many years. But there's this shopping center where they just were too lazy and they never took the sign down. Maybe they're hoping they'll come back.
The good old days, man. The good old days. Or Toys R Us, man. I'd be down to have either of those come back.
Well, there's always rumors of Toys R Us coming back, but I have to see it to believe it. What are your thoughts out there on the future of GameStop? Are you more optimistic than either Josh or myself, especially me? I hope you are, because we do want to hear your thoughts. I'm hoping I'm being proven wrong, but my experience running video game stores, plus seeing the signs on the wall as far as a $673 million fiscal year loss, it's just not a great sign. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, it was just an awesome episode today. I want to thank Brett Allen and Daphne Matthew for joining us on the show today. Just truly, just tremendous having them here. Once again, you got to check out Brett Allen's podcast, the Open Mic Podcast, and Confessions of a Single Dad. And Daphne, you got to check out what she's doing as curator of the Walking Dead fan base and Talking the Dead on Facebook. Coming up, my friend, Friday, it's Hellboy. I know that's going to be a major subject we're going to be talking about for the PCZ Multiverse. But any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I think we just about covered it. Yeah, we're good, man.
All right. Again, always appreciate you stopping by, my friend, and joining us right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. And please check us out later this month at Level Up Expo and the Retro City Game Night. We truly would appreciate it. And all those great charities will as well. And again, everybody at Level Up Expo as well. So it's going to be a great time. Got to check it all out. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.